I am Alice. This is my story. It is a simple story. It is about happiness. For many years, I did not understand happiness. I did not know what it was. I did not know how it felt. I was a normal woman. I lived in a small city. My life was quiet. Every day looked the same. I woke up early. I turned off my alarm. I looked at the ceiling. I felt tired. I got out of bed. I washed my face. I brushed my teeth. I made my bed. I went to the kitchen. I made coffee. I did not eat much in the morning. I was not very hungry. I sat at the table alone. The house was silent. I listened to the clock. Tick, tick, tick. I went to work at 8. I worked in a small office. The office was clean. The walls were white. The lights were bright. I had a desk near the window. I looked at the street sometimes. Cars passed by. People walked fast. I answered emails. I made phone calls. I checked numbers. I wrote short reports. My coworkers were kind. They said good morning. They said goodbye. We talked about work. We talked about the weather. But I did not talk much. I smiled. I nodded. I stayed quiet. Inside, I felt empty. I did not feel sad all the time, but I did not feel happy. I felt nothing special. At night, I went home. I closed the door. I turned on the light. The house was still quiet. I cooked simple food, rice, eggs, sometimes soup. I ate alone. I washed the dishes. I watched a little TV. Then I went to bed. Every day was like this. Monday felt like Tuesday. Tuesday felt like Wednesday. The weeks passed fast. People around me laughed. People made plans. They talked about trips. They talked about love. I listened. I tried to understand. Why did they look so alive? Why did they look so warm? One evening, I looked in the mirror. I saw my face. I saw my eyes. They looked tired. I asked myself a question. Was this my life? Was this enough? I did not have big problems. I had a job. I had a home. I had food. But I did not feel happy, and I did not know why. One day, something small changed. It was not a big event. It was not a dramatic moment. It was something simple. That day, I left work later than usual. The sky was orange. The sun was going down. I walked slowly. I did not rush. For the first time in many days, I looked around. I saw a little girl on the street. She held her mother's hand. She laughed loudly. Her laugh was clear and bright. I stopped for a moment. I listened to her laugh. It was real. It was strong. I felt something small in my chest. It was not big, but it was there. I did not understand it, but I noticed it that night. In my bed, I thought about the little girl. I thought about her laugh. I asked myself again, what is happiness? For the first time, I really wanted to know. That night, I did not sleep fast. I turned to one side, then I turned to the other side. My room was dark and quiet. I thought about my life. I thought about my days. They were safe. They were calm, but they were empty. The next morning, I woke up again at 6. The alarm rang. I opened my eyes. I looked at the ceiling. But this time, something was different. The question was still in my mind. What is happiness? I stood up slowly. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face. I looked at myself in the mirror again. I did not look very sad, but I did not look excited. I looked normal, just normal. At work, everything was the same. Emails, phone calls, numbers, reports. But I watched people more carefully. I watched how they spoke. I watched how they smiled. At lunch, I sat with 2 coworkers. They talked about the weekend. One of them said, I went to the park with my brother. She smiled when she said it. Her eyes were bright. I asked her, was it fun? She said yes. We just walked and talked. Just walked and talked. It sounded simple. Very simple. After work, I did not go home right away. I walked slowly again. The air was cool. The sky was light blue. I passed a small sports center. I heard voices inside. People were playing something. They were laughing. I stopped near the door. I looked inside through the glass. I saw a group of people. They were playing table tennis. They moved fast. They smiled. One man caught my attention. He had short dark hair. He wore a blue shirt. He laughed when he missed the ball. He did not look angry. He did not look embarrassed. He just laughed. His name, I later learned, was Ryan. At that moment, I did not know his name. I only saw his face. He looked free. He looked light. I stood there for a few seconds, then he saw me. He walked to the door. He opened it. He said, "Hi, do you want to play?" I felt surprised. No one asked me that before. No one invited me like that. I shook my head quickly. "No, it's okay," I said. "I'm just looking." He smiled. "That's fine. We play every evening." His voice was calm. Not loud. Not strong. "Just friendly," I said. "Maybe another day." He nodded. "Okay, I'm Ryan," I answered. "I'm Alice." We looked at each other for a short moment, then I said goodbye. I walked home. My heart felt strange, not scared, not sad, just different. That night I thought about the sports center. I thought about the game. I thought about Ryan's smile. He looked happy. But not because he won. He even laughed when he lost. I asked myself again, is happiness something small? The next day I finished work at 5. I stood outside the building. I had two choices. I could go home, cook dinner, watch TV, sleep, or I could walk to the sports center. My legs felt heavy. My mind felt nervous, but my feet moved. I walked toward the sports center. When I arrived, I stood outside again. I took a deep breath. Then I opened the door. I stepped inside slowly. The room was bright. The floor was clean. I heard the sound of the ball. Tap, tap, tap. A few people were playing. Some were sitting and talking. I felt shy. I wanted to leave. Then I saw Ryan again. He stood near one table. He was holding a paddle. He looked relaxed. He saw me. He smiled. "You came," he said. I nodded. "Yes, I just want to watch." He shook his head gently. "No, you can try." I felt my hands get warm. "I'm not good," I said. "That's okay," he answered. "I'm not perfect either." He gave me a paddle. It felt light in my hand. My heart was beating fast. He stood on the other side of the table. "Just hit the ball," he said. "Slow, no rush." He served the ball. It came toward me. I moved too late. I missed it. I felt my face turn red. "I'm sorry," I said. Ryan laughed softly. "It's just a game," he said. He sent the ball again. This time I hit it. The ball went too high. It did not land on the table. I looked at him. He smiled again. "Good," he said. "You hit it." We played like that for 10 minutes. I missed many times, but sometimes I hit the ball, and every time I hit it, I felt something small inside me. It was not big, but it was warm. After some time, another woman asked Ryan to play. He looked at me. "Do you want to stay?" I nodded. "Yes." I sat on a bench. I watched the game. People laughed. They talked. They moved. No one looked perfect. No one looked serious. They just enjoyed the moment. When the game finished, Ryan sat next to me. "So, Alice," he said, "do you live near here?" "Yes," I answered. "About 10 minutes away." "That's good," he said. "We are here almost every day." I asked him, "Why do you come here?" He thought for a moment. Then he said, "Because I feel good here." I looked at him. "Why?" He smiled a little. Because I forget about work. I forget about problems. I just play. His words were simple, but they stayed in my mind. We talked for a few more minutes, about work, about the city, about small things. Then I said goodbye. I walked home again. That night, I did not feel empty. I felt tired, but in a good way. I remembered the sound of the ball tap, tap, tap. I remembered Ryan's laugh. I remembered my own small smile. The next day I went back again. This time I did not stand outside. I walked in directly. Ryan waved at me. "You're getting serious," he said with a smile. I smiled back. Maybe we played again. I still missed many shots, but I laughed once. It surprised me. I did not laugh much before. The laugh came fast. It was light. It was real. When I walked home that night, I looked at the sky. It was dark blue. There were a few stars. I felt something new. It was small, but it was clear. Maybe happiness was not a big thing. Maybe it was this, a simple game, a short talk, a quiet smile. For the first time in many years, I wanted to see what would happen next. The days passed slowly, but they felt different now. I still woke up at 6. I still went to work. I still answered emails. But something changed inside me. I knew that after work, I would go to the sports center. That thought made my day lighter. One afternoon, work was difficult. My manager asked for a report. It had many numbers. I felt pressure. My head felt heavy. I wanted to go home. I wanted to lie down. But at 5 o'clock, I stood outside the building again. I thought, I am tired. Then I thought, but I want to play. So I walked to the sports center. When I entered, Ryan was not there. I looked around. I felt strange. The room was the same. The sound was the same. But something was missing. I sat on the bench. I watched other people play. After 10 minutes, Ryan came in. He looked tired. He saw me and smiled. "Long day?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "You?" He nodded. "Very long." We stood at the table. He gave me the paddle. We started to play. The first few minutes were quiet. Then I missed an easy shot. I made a small sound. "Ah," Ryan laughed softly. "Relax," he said. "It's okay." I stopped for a moment. I looked at him. I said something honest. "I don't feel very happy at work." The words surprised me. I did not plan to say them. Ryan did not laugh. He did not give advice. He just listened. He said, "Sometimes work is just work." I waited. He continued, "But life is not only work." His voice was calm, not strong, not dramatic, just simple. We played again. I focused on the ball. Tap, tap, tap. My mind felt quiet. After the game, we sat on the bench again. Ryan looked at the floor. Then he said, "I was not happy before." I looked at him. "You?" He nodded. "Yes, I worked all the time. I went home. I slept." That was it. It sounded familiar, very familiar. "What changed?" I asked. He smiled a little. "I started to do small things, simple things like this." I asked. "Yes," he said, "like this." I felt warm inside, not because of love, not because of romance, but because someone understood me. That night when I walked home, I did not look at the ground. I looked forward. I thought about something new. What if happiness was not something big? What if it was only small moments? The next weekend, Ryan asked me, "Do you want to walk in the park tomorrow?" It was not a big invitation. It was simple. My heart felt nervous, but I said yes. The next day I went to the park at 10 in the morning. The air was fresh. The sky was light gray. Ryan was already there. He waved at me. We walked side by side. Slowly we talked about simple things. Our families, our favorite food, our school days. Sometimes we were quiet, but the silence was not heavy, it was calm. At one point we sat on a bench. A dog ran past us. Its owner laughed. I watched the dog. I watched the owner. Then I realized something. I was smiling without trying. I did not force it, it just happened. I looked at Ryan. He was also smiling. In that small moment, I felt it clearly. It was not loud. It was not strong, but it was real. Maybe I never knew happiness because I looked for something big. But maybe happiness was always small. On Monday morning, I woke up before the alarm. The room was quiet. The light was soft. I stayed in bed for a minute. I listened to my breathing. I did not feel excited, but I did not feel empty. I felt calm. At work, the day was busy again. Many emails came. The phone rang often, but when I felt tired, I remembered the park. I remembered the dog. I remembered my smile. The memory was small, but it helped me. After work, I went to the sports center again. Ryan was there. He was playing with another man. He saw me and waved. I waited for my turn. When we started to play, I felt more relaxed. My hands moved more easily. I hit the ball many times in a row. Tap, tap, tap. Ryan looked surprised. "You are getting better," he said. I laughed. "Maybe I just feel lighter." He nodded. "That helps." We played longer than usual. I felt tired, but happy. Later, we sat down with water. Ryan asked, "Do you still feel empty?" I thought about it. I did not answer quickly. "Not the same," I said. "I still have normal days, but now I wait for something." He smiled. "That is good." I looked at him. "Do you think happiness stays?" He looked at the floor. Then he said, "I think it comes and goes, but we can help it come back." His words were simple. I understood them easily. That week, I tried something new. After dinner, instead of watching TV, I opened the window. I stood there for a few minutes. I looked at the street. I listened to the sounds. Cars passed. People talked. A baby cried somewhere. It was normal life, but I noticed it. Before, I did not notice these things. I just lived. Now I looked. On Friday evening, Ryan asked, "Do you want to try something different tomorrow?" "What?" I asked. "There is a small art class near my house. Just for fun." "Art?" I felt unsure. "I am not good at art," I said. He smiled. "It's not about being good." The next day I went with him. The room was small. There were tables and paper. Some people were already drawing. I held a pencil. My hand felt stiff. The teacher said, "Draw something simple." I drew a tree. It was not beautiful. The lines were not straight. I looked at it. I almost felt embarrassed. Ryan showed me his drawing. It was also simple. His tree looked funny. He laughed. I laughed too. No one judged us. No one cared if the tree was perfect. For 1 hour, I forgot about work. I forgot about the office. I forgot about my old routine. When we left, I held my drawing in my hands. It was just paper, just a simple tree, but I felt proud. That night I put the drawing on my wall. I looked at it before bed. It was not perfect, but it was mine. And for the first time, my room did not feel so empty. On Sunday evening, I sat on my bed and looked at the tree on my wall. The lines were simple. The shape was not perfect, but I liked it. I thought about my week. Work was still work. My job did not change. My city did not change. But I changed a little. On Monday, I arrived at the office. My coworker Anna looked tired. She sat at her desk and sighed. I looked at her for a moment, before I would stay quiet. But this time, I asked, "Are you okay?" She looked surprised. Yes, just busy. I nodded. If you need help, tell me. The words were simple, but they were new for me. At lunch, I did not sit alone. I joined two coworkers. We talked about small things, about food, about the weather, about a movie. I listened. I also spoke, just a little, but it felt good. That evening, I did not go to the sports center. Ryan had to visit his parents. He told me earlier, I felt a small empty space inside, but it was different from before. It was not heavy. It was just quiet. Instead of going home directly, I walked through a different street. I saw a small bookstore. I never noticed it before. The door was open. I stepped inside. The store was warm. It smelled like paper. Soft music played in the background. I walked slowly between the shelves. I touched the books. I read some titles. One book caught my eye. It was a simple book, short stories, easy language. I bought it when I went home. I made tea. I sat on the sofa. I opened the book. The story was simple. A girl and her dog. Nothing dramatic. But I felt calm while reading. Later, I sent a short message to Ryan. I went to a bookstore today. He answered quickly. That sounds nice. I smiled at my phone. On Tuesday, we met again at the sports center. When I arrived, Ryan looked at me and said, "You look different." I felt confused. Different, yes. He said, "You look lighter." I thought about that word, lighter. Maybe he was right. We played table tennis. This time, I hit the ball many times in a row. Tap, tap, tap. Ryan missed one shot. He made a funny face. I laughed loudly. The sound surprised me. It was strong. It was clear. People looked at us, but I did not feel embarrassed. After the game, we sat down again. Ryan asked, "What do you think happiness is now?" I looked at my hands. Then I looked at him. I said slowly, "It is not something you wait for." He listened carefully. "It is something you do," I continued. "You choose small things." Ryan nodded. "Yes, small things." I felt warm in my chest again. I did not feel a big explosion of joy. I did not feel a strong wave of emotion. But I felt steady. I felt present. That night when I went to bed, I did not ask, "Is this enough?" Instead, I thought, "What small thing can I do tomorrow?" And that question made me smile in the dark. The next week was not perfect. Some days were heavy again. Some mornings felt slow. On Wednesday, I woke up tired. My head hurt a little. The sky was gray. At work, I made a mistake in a report. My manager called me into his office. He was not angry, but he was serious. "Alice," he said, "please check the numbers more carefully." I felt my face get warm. I said, "I'm sorry." When I returned to my desk, I felt small again. The old feeling came back, the empty feeling. For a moment, I thought maybe nothing really changed. After work, I did not want to go anywhere. I wanted to go home and sleep. My steps were slow. When I passed the street near the sports center, I did not look at the door, but then I stopped. I remembered something. Happiness was not something that stayed forever. Ryan said it comes and goes. I took a deep breath. Then I turned around. I walked to the door. I opened it. Inside, I heard the ball again. Tap, tap, tap. Ryan saw me. He walked toward me. "You look tired," he said. "I made a mistake at work," I answered. He nodded slowly. "That happens." "It makes me feel stupid," I said. He shook his head. "It makes you human." His words were simple, but they helped me. We started to play. At first, I missed many shots. My mind was not calm. Then Ryan said, "Focus only on the ball." I looked at the ball. white, small, moving tap, tap, tap. Slowly, my thoughts became quiet. After the game, we sat down again. Ryan said, "You know, I lost my job 2 years ago." I looked at him, surprised. "You did?" "Yes," he said. "I felt useless. I stayed at home for weeks." "What helped you?" I asked. "Small actions," he answered. "I went outside. I talked to people. I moved. I listened carefully. I did not wait to feel better," he continued. "I did something, even when I felt bad." His story was simple, but it felt important. That night, I went home and opened my book again. I read 2 short stories. My head still hurt a little, but my heart felt steady. The next morning, I went to work early. I checked my report again, slowly. Carefully, I corrected the mistake. When my manager saw the new version, he nodded. "Good job," he said. It was a small sentence, but it felt good. That afternoon, I stood at my desk and looked out the window. Cars passed, people walked fast. For the first time, I did not feel lost in the crowd. I felt part of it. On Saturday, Ryan and I met again in the park. We did not talk much. We just walked. The trees moved in the wind. Children played. At one point, I stopped. "I think I understand something," I said. Ryan looked at me. "What?" "I never knew happiness before," I said, "because I thought it was a big feeling." He waited. "But maybe it is only small steps," I continued. "Small choices, every day." Ryan smiled softly. "Yes," he said, "every day." In that moment, I did not feel perfect. I did not feel excited, but I felt awake. And that felt new. The next days were calm, not special, not dramatic, just normal days. But I noticed something new. On Monday morning, when the alarm rang, I did not feel heavy. I sat up in bed. I stretched my arms. I opened the window. Cold air came into the room. I breathed in slowly. Before, mornings felt empty. Now, they felt quiet. Quiet in a good way. At work, I still had tasks. I still answered emails. I still checked numbers. But I worked with more care, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to do well. At lunch, Anna told a story. It was not very funny, but I laughed. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. That evening, I did not go to the sports center. Ryan had other plans. I stayed home, but I did not feel alone. I cooked pasta. I cut tomatoes slowly. I listened to the sound of the knife. I sat at the table. I ate quietly. Then I looked at my drawing on the wall. The simple tree. I stood up. I took another piece of paper. I drew again. This time, I drew the park. A bench. 2 small figures. The lines were simple, but I smiled. Later, I sent a picture of the drawing to Ryan. He replied, "That looks like us." I looked at the paper again. Maybe it did. On Thursday, something unexpected happened. After work, I walked to the sports center, but the door was closed. There was a small sign, "Closed this week for repairs." I felt a small shock. No table tennis, no tap, tap, tap. For a moment, I felt the old empty feeling again. I stood on the street. Cars passed. People walked by. I could go home. Or I could do something else. I remembered my own words. Small choices. So I turned toward the park instead. I walked slowly. The sky was soft pink. I sat on a bench alone. At first I felt strange. No Ryan, no game, no talk. But then I listened. Birds, wind in the trees, children in the distance. I closed my eyes for a moment. I was not doing anything special. I was just sitting. But I did not feel empty. I felt present. After a while, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Ryan. Sports center closed. Park. I smiled. I'm here, I replied. A few minutes later he arrived. He sat next to me. We did not speak at first. We just looked at the trees. Then he said quietly, this is also good. Yes, I answered. It is. We did not need the game. We did not need noise. We just needed to show up. In that moment, I understood something clearly. Happiness was not the sports center. It was not the park. It was not even Ryan. It was the decision to live, to move, to connect, to choose something small instead of nothing. I looked at Ryan and said, "Thank you." "For what?" he asked. "For inviting me that first day," I said. He smiled. "You opened the door." I thought about that. Yes, I opened the door, not only to the sports center, but to something inside me. And I knew now, even if some days were gray, I was not the same person anymore. A few days later, the sports center opened again. The sign was gone. The lights were on. I stood outside for a moment. I looked at the door. I remembered the first day. I was nervous. I almost left now. I felt calm. I opened the door and walked in. Ryan was already there. He raised his hand and smiled. "You look confident," he said. I laughed softly. "I feel different." We started to play. The ball moved between us. Tap, tap, tap. I did not think too much. I just moved. I just played. At one point I missed an easy shot. The ball fell to the floor. I looked at Ryan. We both laughed. And I realized something important. Before, a mistake made me feel small. Now, a mistake was just a mistake. After the game, we sat down, like always. Ryan asked, "So, Alice, are you happy?" The question was simple, but it felt big. I did not answer quickly. I thought about my days, my mornings, my work, my drawings, the park, the laughter, I think. I said slowly, "I am learning." "Learning what?" he asked. "How to be happy," I answered. He nodded. "That sounds right." I looked at my hands. They were not shaking anymore. "I used to wait," I said. "I waited for something big, a big event, a big change." Ryan listened, but nothing big came. I continued. "So I thought I was not lucky. And now?" he asked. "Now I see the small things," I said. "The game, the walk, the book, the drawing, a simple talk." I looked at him and I understand something. I said, "Happiness is not loud, it is quiet." Ryan smiled. "Yes, quiet is good." That evening when I walked home, the sky was dark blue again. I looked at the streetlights. I listened to my steps. I did not feel perfect. I did not feel excited, but I felt full. At home, I stood in front of the mirror one more time. I looked into my eyes. They did not look tired anymore. They looked awake. I smiled at myself. And I said softly, "I never knew happiness before." Not because it was far, not because it was impossible, but because I did not look for it in small moments. Now I do, and every day I choose again. I choose to step outside. I choose to talk. I choose to move. I choose to notice. Some days are easy, some days are heavy, but I am not waiting anymore. I am living, and that is enough for me. If you listened to my story, thank you. Maybe you are also looking for happiness. Maybe you are waiting for something big. But maybe, like me, you only need to choose one small thing today. Take a short walk, call a friend, read a page, smile at someone. Small things matter. If you liked this story, you can listen again. You can relax. You can practice your English. And you can come back for more stories. There will always be another simple story here. Thank you for being with me. This was my story. That night, I did not turn on the TV. I did not check my phone for a long time. I sat by the window. The street was quiet. A car passed slowly. I thought about the first day at the sports center. I almost walked away. I almost said no to something new. If I had walked away, my life would look the same as before. Not bad, not terrible, but empty. I understood something very clearly. Happiness did not enter my life by accident. It entered because I moved, because I answered yes. The next morning was Sunday. I woke up without an alarm. Sunlight came into my room, soft and warm. I stretched my arms. I felt my body relax. I did not feel a big emotion, but I felt ready for the day. I made breakfast slowly: bread, eggs, tea. I sat at the table and looked at my drawings on the wall. The tree, the park, they were simple, but they told my story. Later that day, Ryan sent a message. Do you want to try something new next week? I smiled at the screen. Yes, I wrote back. I did not ask what it was, because now I understood. It was not about the activity, it was about the choice. In the afternoon, I walked to the park alone. Children were playing. A man was reading on a bench. A woman was walking her dog. I sat down and closed my eyes. I listened to the sounds: birds, wind, soft voices. I felt calm. Before, silence felt heavy. Now silence felt peaceful. I opened my eyes and looked at the sky. It was light blue, simple, clear. I smiled again. I never knew happiness before, because I thought it was something big, something dramatic, something that changed everything at once. But happiness did not shout. It did not run. It did not explode. It came quietly. It came when I laughed at a missed shot. It came when I drew a simple tree. It came when I walked instead of staying home. It came when I stopped waiting. Now I know something important. Happiness is not a final place. It is not a big prize. It is a daily decision, a small step, a small action. And tomorrow, I will choose again. If you are listening to my voice right now, maybe you are also learning. Maybe you are learning English. Maybe you are learning something about yourself. Take your time, go slowly. Listen again if you want. Simple words can tell simple truths, and simple truths can change a life. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe to this channel. You can leave a comment. You can tell me what you felt, and you can come back to hear another story. There will always be more simple stories, calm stories, stories that you can understand easily, stories for you. This was my journey, and it is only the beginning.